This is my newest desk setup, a more minimal, compact setup if you will. You see, about 6 months ago, my family and I moved into a new house, and in doing so, I had to say goodbye to my previous studio space. Thankfully, there was this pre-existing double garage here at the new house, which I've been working in for the past 6 months. But about a month ago, we actually started a big renovation on that garage to transform it into my new, hopefully long-term studio space. So that's all very exciting, and I will do some sort of a studio tour once that's all finished and set up sometime in the new year. But in the meantime, I needed somewhere else to work. And luckily enough, there was this extra room in the house, which is usually a space for the kids to play in, but that I was able to hijack and use temporarily. And as such, I decided that was probably just as good a time as ever to design a brand new desk setup. One that was a little smaller than previous iterations, and one that focused on portability. And who knows, maybe I'll even bring this setup, or at least a version of it, into the studio. But with that being said, let's unpack it. Starting as always with the desk, and this is actually a tabletop from IKEA called the Lag Captain, and it's in this white stained oak finish. It's actually pretty inexpensive if you ask me, coming in at under 60 Australian dollars. And I will say, whilst it's definitely sturdy enough for this setup, it's also not a solid wood tabletop, so naturally it's not going to be as resilient as one. It's actually mounted onto some sit-stand legs from Autonomous, which I've had for a few years now, and perhaps a little controversially, I've actually used this spin keypad from competitor brand Desky for this configuration. However, because this setup is temporary, I haven't actually wired it up, so I can't vouch for whether it works or not. It looks cool though, so I thought I'd add it. I actually would have used the Desky legs as well. However, they're still mounted onto my larger editing desk tabletop with all of the cables running through a cable management system ready to go as soon as I move back into the studio. So I didn't want to disconnect the legs just for the purposes of this setup. Okay, from there we have the monitor, and this is actually the same MSI Prestige 5K ultra-wide monitor that I've been using for a number of years now, and it's just such a sleek and premium monitor that I haven't felt the desire or had the need to upgrade it. What is new though is that monitor arm, which is actually just a pretty inexpensive gas spring monitor arm from Amazon. And the reason I used this one instead of the more beefier monitor arm from my previous setup is because one, I wanted to keep the price down, but then secondly, I wanted the monitor arm for this setup to be white to match the walls behind it for a cleaner, more visually aesthetic look. Powering the entire setup is this MSI Prestige 16 Studio laptop, and a big shout out to MSI who were kind enough to sponsor this video. I've actually been using this laptop for a couple of months now, and I made a full video on it a little while ago, which I'll link up in the cards. But the gist of that video is that this is the first laptop that I've truly enjoyed using for creative content creation. It's got a big, beautiful 16-inch mini LED panel that can go all the way up to a ridiculously smooth 165 Hz. It's got Intel's 13th gen i7 processor, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 laptop GPU, as well as 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, plus an internal 2TB Gen 4 SSD. And as a result, I'm actually able to comfortably use this laptop to edit within Adobe Premiere Pro, which is not normally an easy task. Like, check this out. I did 3 export tests using Premiere Pro, putting the laptop up against my MSI Creator desktop machine, and whilst the desktop still exported 3 10-minute plus sequences quicker, the laptop was still really fast, and that's most likely thanks to that impressive GeForce RTX 4060 laptop GPU inside. In fact, I'm actually editing this entire desk setup video on this laptop, and it's handled the project like a champ. If you want to learn more about it and get a pretty impressive deal and a bonus docking station included for free while you're at it, then feel free to check out the first link down in the description below. But as for what the laptop is sitting on, this is actually yet another inexpensive item I picked up from Amazon by a brand called Rixton. And I've got to say, despite its affordable price tag, this thing is super well built, with the bottom being fully made of metal and the top being this nice wooden slab. Now, before we get to everything else on the desk, I'll just quickly mention the chair that I'm using, which is still the same beautiful brown leather Aleph Jewel chair that I picked up from IKEA a couple of years ago. And man, if you're in the market for a minimal yet super comfortable chair that looks great within any setup, this is a chair that I can highly recommend. Like, if this one ever breaks for whatever reason, I'll probably just buy the same one again. It's just that good. And so from there, we have all of the peripherals and accessories. Most of this stuff, in fact, pretty much all of it is brand new for this setup. And I'll start with this cool sci-fi looking device here under the monitor, which is actually the Loupedeck CT. This is essentially like a control panel that lets you have quick access to a range of customizable shortcuts, and it comes with a bunch of profiles built in, and you can then set it up so that it dynamically changes the page of shortcuts depending on what app you're using. And there's also this marketplace on top of that, which lets you install a range of third-party profiles and plugins to even further enhance its functionality. I've seriously been loving using my own Loupedeck CT. I have a shortcut set up to quickly start a screen recording. There's one to turn the computer's sound on or off. I have a stopwatch, a number pad, plus a couple of others set up as well. And I genuinely reckon it would be a really nice addition to just about any desk setup. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't come with a stand, as I think it's designed to sit next to your keyboard perhaps. So I just picked up this metal U-green phone stand from Amazon, which has worked great. And then I added this 90-degree right angle USB-C adapter, also from Amazon, just to keep that USB-C connection a bit more discreet. And both solutions have worked really well. Then we have the keyboard and mouse. The keyboard is actually version 2 of the Newfie Air 75 in Ionic White. And I was actually using version 1 of this keyboard in Lunar Grey for about a year, which I loved, but I really wanted one in white to match the aesthetics of this desk setup. Plus, this second version also has far better battery life than the previous model. And so even though I love the first version, I've loved this one even more. Newfie actually also sent me the Air 96 in Lunar Grey, which is a full-sized keyboard, and that one is just as nice, but again, I just couldn't go past the Ionic White colorway. Then there's this mouse, and I saw a photo of a similar mouse somewhere on Twitter about a month or so ago, and I was like, what on earth is that amazing looking mouse? And so I hopped onto Amazon, searched transparent mouse, and there it was. And man, it was so cheap that I thought I just had to give it a go. And whilst initially I struggled a bit with how different it felt compared to my Logitech MX Master 3 mouse, after about a week or so, I genuinely started enjoying the feel of it, and the fact that it looks really slick in this orange colorway as well has kind of made me a bit obsessed with it. Both the keyboard and mouse are sitting on a medium-sized desk mat from Delta Hub, which is in a light grey colorway, again to tie in with this lighter theme I have going on. And I'm also still using this Carpio 2.0 wrist rest from Delta Hub, which I've got to say I really enjoy using. In fact, whenever I'm using a mouse without the Carpio 2.0, that now just feels weird. Now, some of you may have noticed that I don't have any speakers in this setup, which is simply due to the fact that because this desk setup is in the house, I pretty much rely on using headphones so I can carry on working without distraction. And so the headphones I've actually been using for several months now are these beautiful Momentum for wireless headphones in white by Sennheiser. And I'll admit, these aren't the cheapest headphones that you can buy, but by golly, are they so nice. Like I said, they have a beautiful design with this fabric material on the top here and a really comfortable build that makes wearing them for hours on end not an issue at all. But more importantly than all of that is the sound quality from these things. Look, I'm no audio engineer or sound aficionado, but these are by far my favorite headphones that I've ever used in terms of sound quality. Then add on to that they come packed to the brim with features like adaptive noise cancellation and a fantastic transparency mode. You can also connect them to the app to create your own custom EQs if you like. Plus, the battery life on these things is next level. The stand they're on though is a bit more budget friendly. Again, I just picked this one up for less than $40 on Amazon, simply because the wood and metal combo tied into the entire setup perfectly. And despite the low price tag, it's also really well built. Real quick, because this is a laptop-based setup, whilst the laptop itself has a solid range of ports to choose from, you can never go wrong with a few more. And so the team over at Dockcase actually sent me this smart USB-C 7-in-1 hub, which they call the Explorer Edition, and it's been working really well in this setup. It's got this incredible transparent design language, which I'm a big fan of, and it's got a really solid build quality. Plus, it has this little mini display on the top here, which shows you information about what is plugged into the hub, which is super cool. And then beyond that, like I said, having those extra ports, including a full-sized SD card slot, is so useful for video editing in particular. Then we have this incredible Hover Pen 3.0 from Novium Design, which is this gravity-defying ballpoint pen that not only has some practicality to it in terms of having a physical drawing implement nearby, but it's also very much a statement piece that I reckon looks amazing. This is the Mist Blue variant, but they also have Deep Black and Frost Silver versions as well. And they're not cheap, that's for sure, but they're definitely super practical and amazing to look at the same time. And so finally, we have the lighting, and the feature piece in this category is this inexpensive white and rose gold desk lamp here, which again was one that I just found after doing a bit of hunting around on Amazon. And I wanted one that clamped to the table to save on desk space, which this one does. And then this workstation vibe it has to it, plus that white and rose gold color combo, I think makes it a really nice addition to this setup. Then I'm still using this pretty old now BenQ monitor light called the Screen Bar. I've been using this thing for years now, and I just love the ambient lighting that it provides, particularly whenever I'm working in lower light conditions. But there you have it. That is my latest desk setup. As always, links to everything have been included down in the description below. But that's it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you later.